Right, guys, another day, another video. I'm sure we've all got tasks that we enjoy doing, we look forwards to, or we've got certain trees that we just can't wait to get stuck into and do something with. And this is the exact opposite of that. Um, I've been putting off doing anything with this olive tree. It's pretty much the last thing I've got. I've got about 7 things left to repot. This is one of those 7. I'll come into the tree in a second, but that must weigh about 4 or 5 kilograms, and I have no idea why. It feels as though this pot is full of concrete. So the fact that it's in a big pot, I'm a bit apprehensive. There's going to be a mess of a root system in there. The fact that it weighs like there's a small dog in there as well makes me wonder what I'm going to unearth. But it's a task I've got to get done. The weather's okay. Sun keeps appearing and then disappearing, so it's about 16, 17 degrees. So let's get it done. As I said, it is an olive tree. I've had this for a year now. I bought it last April on a visit down to Dorset. Me and my friend Holly went to a cafe just outside of Poole, heading up towards Blandford, and lovely restored sort of farmyard turned into a cafe. They had an antique shop there, and then just off to one side there was I guess you'd call it a nursery, but it was very small, and it looked like somebody's passion rather than any attempt to make real money out of it. And I'd wanted an olive for a while, but all I could find, either in person or online, sorry, the boy racers are out today if you can hear that, all I could find was the standard sort of pole with a sort of topiary shrub at the top of that. So walking around this little plant nursery, this caught my eye, and I think that's probably the front as you are looking at it thereabouts. And it was only £25. So I'm going to bring you in. I'm going to point out a couple of the features that I really like. So, as I say, this is probably the front. And what I really liked, what appealed, was this aged sort of junction here. Now, I did, when I got this home, I did remove some of the branches because it was a bit of a diagonal sort of mess. But I loved the basic structure. So some of the problems I removed. But let me bring you out a little bit and spin the tree around. So as I say, I think this is probably the front. That doesn't really have the same appeal. So, yeah, that looks to be the front of the tree to me. Now, I don't know much about olives, so I don't know if this will backbud. So what I really want to do is get this much, much thicker. So I'm going to repot it today into a similar sized pond basket, but with suitable soil, not the concrete it's in. As I say, I've had this for a year, and apart from me cutting it, I've done nothing. And it hasn't really grown as far as I can recall. So let me get set up and then see how long it takes before I throw this into the wall. So first things first, let's get this out of the pot and see just what exactly we're dealing with. It's in a very rigid pot, so I'm hoping I can just pull it out. Oh. Okay, that's probably one of the firmest pots I've ever felt. Right then, so, oh, little spider there. Let's rehome. Oh, he's off. Okay, let's see what we uncover. So initial impression is it's in mud. Well, thankfully, mud that is coming away fairly easily. I've been putting this off. I was having a sort of real dread that this was going to be a problem, but so far so good. Mud and stones. I mean, there's some sort of pellet-like material in there, but so what I really don't want is a massive long trunk. So I'm quite pleased to see roots starting high up. Shorter the trunk, the better the sort of perspective will be. The aesthetic, it will appear fatter more easily. So I've said in previous videos, this is my the least enjoyable part for me of dealing with bonsai. And actually, I can sort of develop that statement a little bit further. What I've realised is because I had so many nursery bought trees, it was the pain of dealing with, the soil that they've grown them in, the root systems, and it's no fault of the nurseries. They're developing a tree to grow and sell, not for bonsai purposes. So can't blame them, but we'll look forward to. I don't envisage repotting anything next year that I've done this spring. But when the time comes, now that everything is in more suitable soil, I may enjoy the process a little bit more. I mean, this is just, look at that. It is a very clay-like soil and lots of stones in. And the sun is beginning to appear. So I'm going to work through this, and I'll bring you back when I'm a little bit further along the process. Okay, so it's not as bad as I initially thought it'd be. Obviously, the weight is now gone. It was the horrific soil and the stone mix that it was in. Initial thoughts: there's no enormous taproot, so there's quite a natural sort of base. There's a bit of flare in the trunk. No immediate standout roots. I'm just going to grab a wire brush and just clean this trunk a little bit. The temperature's dropped and the sky has gone dark, and I fear that I'm about to get hit by bursts of rain anytime soon. The wind's picking up as well, but we go on. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to methodically work around this tree now, removing any obvious problems such as this root here that comes out and then goes straight down. So just trim it at its junction point. We've got one here that's underneath, well, it's underneath several others, so that can be immediately removed. Some going sideways around the tree. And my end game, what I'm ultimately looking to achieve, is for the roots to flow outward from the tree without any coming up, without any wrapping around clockwise, anti-clockwise, and without any, there's a big one here, coming straight down. And when I'm finished, the tree should be able to stand relatively flat. So any that are conflicting with that have to go. So unfortunately, this one here is a nice one, but it's going up. Maybe that could be trained to go down. One thing as well, these roots, I don't know if it's anything to do with the soil or just olive trees in general, but the roots are incredibly delicate. They snap with the slightest pull. I don't think the soil helped. I mean, as I was going through, I felt suffocated just looking at how condensed everything was. So I'm just going to prune some of these longer. You see, look, here's a good example. The root comes out and then goes up and zigzags around. That's never going to be a suitable root, and clearly that's just been searching for suitable growing conditions while being suffocated by that soil. So there's another big one here that's coming straight down underneath. I'm going to do quite an aggressive prune of these roots right now, and my aim will be then to leave it completely for at least 2 years, possibly more, and just let the roots really regenerate in some good, roomy soil. It's definitely going to rain in a second. There's the thick one. That one needs to go, unfortunately. That one, big boy. So it's getting a little bit better. Still some here pointing straight down. Thick ones as well, which you're never going to be able to flatten out. So this tree, there's not any sentimental value to it, but there is obviously a memory associated with it. I mean, the reason I went down to Dorset in the first place was my last year. My dad passed away in March, and I didn't handle it particularly well. And when I eventually told people, I used to live in Bournemouth, and my friends Holly and Pontus, who were together, they called me up and said, "Look, just come down for a week." And that's what I did. I'm very fortunate. I had a great boss, and she knew that I was struggling. And her response was, "Turn your laptop off, go." Which, I'm very, very grateful for, and that's what I did. I literally went down that weekend and spent a week there. And so in that 5-6 week period, from him passing away to me going down south, I'd sort of lost interest in everything. So, you name it, the things that I enjoy, garden, trees, the gym, food even, and food has dominated my life for one reason or another. I just found no joy, or saw no purpose in anything. And this tree, this was, sort of, I guess the first thing that caught my mind's eye and got my attention back onto thinking ahead, thinking to the future, and snapped me out of that self-destructive, everything is pointless mindset, which was present for a while. It's not like I connect this tree with anything to do with my dad, but I do connect it with, I guess, that brunch with, with Holly, and a little bit of sentimental value. Don't know if you hear, this is the ice cream man. You might hear, I'm sure he moves at the end of his. Let's have a look. No, he's not going to do it. Sometimes he'll play his little tune and then he'll go, "Oh." It's the most bizarre, and it looks like a bizarre ice cream man as well, ice cream van. Interestingly, delivering ice creams all through winter, even in the snow. Which made me question if he's delivering anything else. But hey, right. So we're getting somewhere. I don't like this big one here. That's going to have to go, unfortunately. Doesn't leave much. This. So where's the front? That is the front. And we've got quite a lot on the front. Too much. So I'll have to trim back a little bit more. Which is not an issue. Yeah, sorry, he plays his music every 10 metres as well and stops. I hope you heard that. I have no idea why he does that move, but it makes me chuckle every time. If you didn't hear it. But actually, according to the stats on YouTube, I think only 20% of people who watch my videos come from the UK, so I don't know if you have ice cream in other countries. It's just a van who drives around with a refrigerator and selling ice creams. Well, if it's anything like where I grew up, they'd sell all sorts. Pirated PlayStation games, CDs, you name it. So, I don't like this ball here. I've got a feeling that that's a ball of different roots all intertwined, but I'm gonna take that big one off. I'm gonna take a leap of faith. It's catching my eye constantly. Boom, gone. Let's get that right back. And that one next to it. I did say it was going to be a big root prune. So that is the front. There's still too much here. Quite like that root. It's quite thick and established, so that one next to it is going to go. Just felt a couple of drops of rain. So they're coming out from underneath. They can go. This one goes up, but that might be able to be trained down, and then that one's directly underneath it, so that can blow. That can be more flush. It's underneath. It's too close. See, I was saying there's a memory attached to this, but no like sort of sentimental value or anything like that. Work actually, so when he passed away, work bought me. We've got in my workplace, someone loved one passes away. We'll get them like flowers or something to sort of pay our respects, I guess. And I said to my workplace, please don't get me flowers. So they bought me a plant. And I tell you what, he's constantly trying to die on me. There's some sentimental value to that, unfortunately. There we go. Okay. I'm still not happy. I'm going to take more. I can see where I want my root plane to be sort of, as you're looking at there. And, there's a couple of issues here. For example, we've got 1, 2, 3, and then a multitude of smaller ones growing on top of that one. That one's technically too low, but the ones above it point upwards. However, pretty confident in time, those ones above it could be pulled downward. Especially if I remove that big thick thing there. And that. I'm possibly witnessing the death of this tree. So but that was definitely rain. Okay, I'm going to stop. No, I'm going to take that one off there. Don't like it pointing up. So that's going to be it. Some potential roots for the future. I'm not overly concerned. I just want the roots now to run wild. So it's quite a top heavy tree, especially after I've finished with it. I am going to attempt to tie this in, which might be difficult given I've not left any roots on the tree. So let me get set up and I'll come back. Right, quite a large pond basket. As I say, you do want these roots to go crazy, and I'm hoping that will stimulate some growth at the top. Now, how best to tie this in? I'm not going to be able to tie it in using the roots, so I might have to, unfortunately, loop over the tree. So I've got a couple of pieces of wire, and what I'm going to do is place that there. Okay. So the only problem with using such a large pond basket is the amount of soil I end up using for said tree. So I'll line it up out there and then fill in around it. One day I'll remember to place the soil on my right hand side when I'm doing this. It's not like I do it when the camera's not rolling either. I always make this mistake and then spill soil. Like so. Right. So that's the soil loosely in. So what I'm going to do is pull this wire like so, go down through the side of the pond basket, and tie it off. You're getting the full-on ice cream man experience, aren't you? Right, so just going to compress these roots down a little bit. Not that there's many, but if you make these habits routine, the likelihood of ever forgetting a step in the future is somewhat minimized. I've not got my watch on, but I think that's taken me about an hour. wasn't too traumatic an experience. And that's actually okay. It's held okay one way. I'm just going to add a little bit more wire in a different direction. Which is a little bit more difficult because there's no holes in the top of the basket like there are here, but plenty of holes on the side. Can do a crude knot. That would do. And then so I've not got these wires too tight, it's just enough to stop any big gusts of wind from doing too much damage. A little bit lower. And I'm going to go through the soil. There we go. Do a better angle and then round and back through. Hopefully you can see that. Okay. Right, let me get tidied up. There we have it. You know what time it is. Time to give it a good old soak. One. Olive tree, repotted. 90% of the roots removed. Let's see how it gets on. Interestingly, last summer, this was getting problems. You can see here, look. Problems with a lot of yellowing on the leaves, which, no, after looking at how waterlogged, or dense rather, the soil was, maybe it was just having problems getting water to the leaves. I'm going to give you one last look at the trunk. Beautiful. And as soon as those roots grow and this becomes more stable, that wire can be removed, but that'll hold it in place nicely. Right guys, thank you for watching, appreciate it.